Thanks for joining me in Hutchie's Mad Minute. Getting pumped.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another instalment of Hutchie's Mad Minute. Today, a massive treat for you, Greg Smith. Smitty, thanks for joining me on Hutchie's Mad Minute, mate.
Great to be here.
Nice, mate, nice. Before I get started, we do have a lot of juniors down there, and some of the guys that probably don't understand what Greg Smith has actually done in basketball, so I'll just throw out a few things before I start hitting you with some questions, mate. First of all, Greg Smith's played 149 games in the NBL. He's played with the Geelong Supercats, Townsville, and with Perth. He's won a National Basketball League championship ring. That was in 2000 with the Perth Wildcats. Correct. Also, big stat. In 2005, he led the ABA. So I'm not talking just your Siebel, I'm not talking just your Big V. I'm talking all the Australian Basketball Association in the assists. At a cracking 8.7 a game, and also that year he won the Golden Hands. So, yeah, I did my homework, mate.
You did, mate. You've been busy.
I have, mate. Anyway, here we go. Mate, you've played with some and against some of the biggest names that have ever played in Australia. Who would you say is the best player you've played with or against, and why?
Wow.
You say
the best player, bar you, Hutchie, I've played with would be Ricky Grace. And the reason that, from Perth, and the reason he'd be the best player I played with was he was just multi-skilled. Every element of basketball he was good at, and you don't see that very often. You know, you tend to get a person that's a good shooter, and for his size and stature was an amazing player. As I said, had most traits to the point where he probably had the best post moves in the team. So it would be Ricky, and against would be Andrew Gaze.
Yep.
And for the fact that, I mean, he's a tremendous shooter and stuff as well, but for a person that didn't look that athletic,
yep,
he didn't stop moving, so he would be.
Just on Ricky's post moves, mate, did you get a lot of chicken wings in there? Is that where you got it from?
I did learn that, yes, from in there, but
nice.
usually against smaller people we use that.
Oh, nice, mate. Mate, you've broke your foot 3 times whilst playing in the NBL. Now, you must have an unbelievable passion for the game of basketball to be able to do the rehab and get back into it. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, with any professional sport, there's a lot of injury involved, and I've had my fair share, and to the point where I'd broken my 5th metatarsal in my foot, and it would heal, and then I would break it again, and it would heal, and break it again. But you're right, through all that, it's just a setback. It's not, I didn't look at it as you know, the end of my career by any stretch. And you go and see doctors and surgeons, and they tend to say that, you know, if this doesn't work. But I knew that, you know, I was unlucky at that period of time, but at the same time I had good doctors and good people around me to get back, and persistent, you know, and just being persistent through, it was sort of my personality a bit as well. And yeah, got through. But as I said, it's part of professional sport, and I guess if you play any sort of sport, and I'm lucky enough that really it was only a small bone in your foot, but unfortunately most of your load went through it. So yeah, re-fractured a few times, but all in all I'm back still, ready to play.
Nice. Mate, you're generally a well-dressed cat. You're always looking pretty smooth, pretty sleek.
Thanks, Paul.
Any chance you can give Nelly some tips?
No, mate, it's too far gone.
Too far gone?
It's too far gone. I've got nothing for him, mate. I'm sorry, no, too far.
You're also shooting the ball at a very respectable 48% in the Big V. Let it be known, his career, I'm going to throw it out there, his career NBL 3-point shooting was 24, but we don't speak about that.
No, it's not go there, mate.
Got any tips for me, mate? Because I can't throw the frigging thing in the ocean.
No, mate. At the minute, started off quite well from the 3-point line. In sort of the most recent weeks, I haven't shot it too well, but basketball's a bit like that as well, you know. Everything feels good, and you're getting your practice up, and persisting with it, it will come off. But yeah, feeling quite good at the minute, and hopefully it's still there towards the end of the season, more importantly.
Matty Ogle's hairstyle, is it one of the most offensive you've seen?
Reminds me a lot of a boy band that I'm seeing quite a bit of at the minute, but look, I'm not one to talk about hairstyles. I've had a few in my time too, but if Matty thinks it's working for him, I think he should stick to it.
Definitely not working. Anyway, mate, you've dabbled in the coaching field a little bit. A couple of years ago, you actually did coach me. Is that something you've thought about, you know, when you have finally decided to hang up the boots? Is that somewhere you'd like to go? Or?
Well, I'm just not planning on hanging up the boots, mate. And
I'm not trying to rush you into it either, because what you're doing for this team's amazing. But, you know, I mean, I've thought, you know, I'm starting to think about it post-career, what will I be doing, and coaching something I'd like to get into. And someone like yourself who's been at the top level in Australia surely can pass us on some information.
Yeah, I would. I would like to coach in some capacity, but certainly to what extent, I don't know. As I said, it's certainly not one thing that I would die to do.
Yep.
But I've got young kids as well, so it's I'm coaching at the minute. And as I said, I do love the game, and if there's a position that pops up and I think I can be of some help, then I would certainly have a look at it. Yeah.
Beautiful. Biggest influence in your basketball career?
The biggest influence, certainly folks. When you're young, I grew up in Warrnambool too, so the commitment that was made by my parents in travel and getting places, and they would certainly be a big influence, but also probably Ian Stacker was a fair influence on me in my professional career, being that gave you opportunity and gave you a lot of good direction as a coach. That's probably one that stands out to me.
Yep. Stingray teammate question time, mate. Just want you to put one of the boys in the categories.
Sure.
First to marry, can't say Luke Osmond.
I can't really answer that one, Hutchie. Reason being is that I have spent a little bit of time with the boys in a couple of the local pub scenes, and let me tell you, we weren't really, the guys weren't knocking the chicks away with sticks, mate, so we're pretty much standing there on our own. So I'd like to hold that, maybe I could answer that later in the year for you, mate, but at the minute, as I said, I'd be throwing someone in the mix there that really probably just needs to get their claws out and into one for the minute.
Apart from probably Matty Ogle, who's coming out of the closet?
Well, I did spot a couple of boys in the showers the other day, and one seemed to be rubbing soap into another one's back, but I'm not going to reveal any names, but one was oversized. He was certainly closer to 7 foot than 5 foot. Mate, so.
Don't want to room with on the road, and why?
I wouldn't want to room with Dan Ritchies at the minute. I mean, the reason being is that he's decided to go for a swoop in his hairstyle as well, so I'd suggest that'd take a little bit to get right at the minute too, so I'd probably be down at the sec.
That's a great answer. No one's, they're all too scared to go near the coach, mate.
Yeah, no, we take him down any chance we get.
Most annoying?
You. You're definitely most annoying. Reason being is that the hat's not too square at the minute, so...
It's not supposed to be, mate.
Oh, right.
No minute, all right?
Yeah.
Who has ADD?
ADD, it's probably a matter of who hasn't got it. I suggest in this sort of team. So, no. Most of the boys are pretty good. I see sometimes Tracker gets a little bit lost sometimes out there, but what a great man, but probably delves in the ADD a touch. Yeah.
Nice. Just before I get on to the final question, mate, originally you were looking at playing 4 games and Aussie coming back into the system. And don't get me wrong, I'm absolutely wrapped. You're hanging around. The things you're doing for this team and the association's brilliant. Loving it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I have, mate. And Dan sort of rang me early in the piece in January and just asked whether I thought I could do it. And I actually, at the time, to be honest, didn't think physically I would be able to do it. So it was one of those ones where I just had to trial and error. And the 4-game thing was more so until Eric got back and bodies at training. But I sort of got myself reasonably fit and I love it. Yeah, it's good fun. It's great to be back amongst teammates and a good group of guys, and more excitingly, to win this thing. I think we've got the potential and talent to do really well. So,
just help me out with that 3-ball, mate.
Yeah. You just put in the hole. That's perfect.
That'd be nice. Finally, mate. Out of most of the players, probably you've got the most, how can I say this, in the best position out of anyone to give some feedback or some words of wisdom to the juniors coming through about what it will take them to get to the pinnacle, the NBL, the highest league that they can possibly get to.
Yeah, firstly, I guess, if I relate it to my career, it was enjoying the game. Like it's, as you work your way through all the age groups and the harder you train and the more time you put into it, some days it's grueling and some days it's hard, but after every session, I still tried to make it fun, and your style of game and the way you approach it is it's a thing that'll take you through. So if you can enjoy what you do and it doesn't turn into a grind, that's the first thing. But persistence as well, and no one needs to be told to continue to work on your game. But a lot of people will tell you that you can't do it or you won't make it. But it comes down to each and everyone that has a go, and everyone can do it. It's a matter of ability and working really hard. But most of all, as I said, you must enjoy it, because if you don't, if it becomes hard, you probably will let it go.
Nice. Well, Smitty, thanks for joining me, mate.
Pleasure, mate.
Hutchies Mad Minute. A bit more serious this week, because I wanted to get you guys out there, the juniors in particular, to know a little bit more about Greg Smith, the man. Next week, however, it's game on, newly engaged, and I've got some ripping questions for him, Luke Osborne. Cheers, guys.
Catch ya.
Thanks, mate.